Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Senior Bowl Day 2 standouts. We have some good standouts and some bad standouts here. We have good standouts and bad standouts here from Senior Bowl Day number 2. And a good standout will start already with Michael Penix Jr., officially mentioned at 6'2", 212, and has these alien hands, by the way. I have very tiny hands, probably, especially compared to Michael Penix, who measured in for 10 3/8 inches hands, or however the hell you say 10 3/8 inches. Yeah, that would be my guess. Anyways, what stood out for him was his accuracy. He was really hitting early and seemed like he was already in rhythm. And not only that, the ability to throw before he's even set. Like, his feet don't move, his head does, eyes do, and he can throw the ball without his feet being set in the correct area. The further removed we are from old school football, the more we're seeing these off platform, like we're seeing Jordan Love literally take every throw he's taking right now off his back foot, but just where he delivers his best. You can look at all the things right now and say, yeah, he's getting away from the fundamentals, and at the same time it's like, no, just doing what works for him. So Michael Penix Jr. obviously looked really good, as he's a good standout here, and we'll move to the next one. It's gonna be Spencer Rattler, who only did measure in at 6 feet tall, under 220, just sitting at 219. Teammates around him, I should say, didn't really have, his processing was good for the second day. Day 1, he had that interception, and he has kind of that question mark for his processing through his college career. So one day of making the right read twice is good, but how much can you really count on that? But yeah, Rattler was he did a good enough job to realize the first read wasn't open and settled for the check down or the second read for 2 straight passing plays. So good for him in the team drills there. Showed some good accuracy. Had a throw on like a frozen rope on a little out. I believe it might have been to Xavier Legette. I could be wrong on that. Could be a teammate connection, but I can't really remember who exactly the target was on that play. But yeah, Spencer Rattler, obviously a hotter name through his earlier years, transfers over to South Carolina, where he has some okay production, a lot of sacks, and bad weapons that other quarterbacks have had, especially in the SEC. You're gonna have a tough time. So Spencer Rattler on the good standout for this list for me. One good day doesn't end all be all, but it's nice to see him at least popping after not really doing much on day 1 to impress. Cody Schrader, a good standout here, sitting at 5'8", 207, a little bit smaller than you'd like, but I guess it's nice and compact for 5'8", and he's got some pretty good shift to him for being that size. And, it's always good for a running back, obviously. But not only that, he's a great pass catcher. He showed overall fluidity through his time so far at the Senior Bowl, especially catching the football. He's been a pretty big guy there, where we're seeing a lot of that. Major SEC production doesn't mean anything. He might be a senior, might have been a late breakout. I think he was a walk-on. I guess just found his way to being one of the best, at least production-wise, SEC running backs. So Cody Schrader was looking like the real deal through the year at college, putting up great numbers, comes into the Senior Bowl, looks good, and looks to be matching up well and fitting in well as the week moves forward. Another good standout, this one a wide receiver, Jaquan Jackson. Now we do have a few more receivers, but this one I was considering for day 1 as well. I really liked the way he looked, but I was like, it might be a little too bold to put him, anywhere high on a list after only watching 6 or so reps. So Jaquan Jackson really came out and solidified my opinion of him this last day. And 5'9", 190 on the smaller side. He's got a little, probably below average hands. I don't know hand sizes. I'm not sure where on the scale that lands at 8 7/8. They're almost 9 inches or 9-inch hands. So this kid is a little bit smaller, but it doesn't take away from his speed, his suddenness, and those help a lot and contribute to his precise route running. And he just kept winning reps, and that was what you really like to see. One-on-one, he might have had the speed advantage there, but not only did he didn't just straight up beat a guy with speed, he had that suddenness and, like I mentioned, the precise route running to just put his foot in the ground. And maybe it was lacking a little bit of nuance during the season, comes in to show scouts he can do that, and showing it where you really didn't need to. I wouldn't call it a false step, but he actually had a guy beat off the line of scrimmage, square up, and he was running a little in, so he was running up and then back towards the middle of the field, and and he ended up shaking at the top of the route when you beat the guy. Get to your point. Like, get to the point as fast as you can. You don't need to do, you already won. Don't mess around any further. So maybe he's just overcompensating for maybe what he lacked all season long. So we'll see how Jaquan Jackson really comes out in day 3. And well, I guess just have to see. Jaquan Jackson has impressed so far, and I can't wait to watch more. Xavier Legette on the good standouts here after he was a loser of day 1, in my opinion, and a lot of it had to do with him only coming in at 6'1". He was 223, which is still good. Maybe listed a little bit higher, but I think this is still very good size. He did come in. He has baby hands, same size as Jaquan Jackson, who is about 4 inches smaller than him and 30 pounds lighter. Kind of take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But yeah, Xavier Legette, redemption from day 1. He worked more on his shallow, didn't choose to go deep every single rep like he did last week. The one-on-ones, he just went deep, just went deep, just went deep. He only chose to go deep. I didn't see one underneath anything from Xavier Legette. Now, it was a little different. He still tried to get down the field, but he did switch it up and went shallow and worked on the intermediate side or intermediate level of the field. Went on a nice little out route as well and won on that pretty easily. And yeah, just really excited to see him, or I guess really happy for him that he's coming around, because day 1 was not impressive for me. Johnny Wilson was a good standout here, one of the few receivers we're going to talk about. And yeah, 6'6", 237. Yeah, you think he's in like lineup as a tight end or whatever. He's actually bigger than his teammate Jaheim Bell, who they played at tight end, just a little bit smaller, who I think he was like 6'1" or 6'2". Jaheim Bell, who was their tight end. He was pretty much just everywhere, more of the H-back, I guess. But yeah, Johnny Wilson, huge guy, and showed really good separation and showing the alien-like traits you see from a guy his size playing wide receiver. And I was really happy to see the great catches. He has struggled to catch the football and came out day 2 and really looked good. His hands looked good. They definitely passed the eye test after a not so good reputation of not being able to catch the football, looking a little unnatural, not as fluid catching the ball. His process didn't look that great. He comes into the Senior Bowl, day number 2. He had some highlights, and yeah, Johnny Wilson, man, very, very good and reassuring to watch that after I have him particularly high. I really loved his tape. Jamari Thrash, the last receiver on this list, standing at 5'11", 185, slim build, and has maybe slightly bigger hands, or is that slightly small? Okay, yeah, slightly smaller hands than Xavier Legette and Jaquan Jackson there. But what really was the thing with Jamari Thrash was his speed and his like deep speed. That definitely showed here at the Senior Bowl through the first 2 days. But not only that, he showed great start-stop ability to the point where he's making guys question, is he going deep, is he not, and using that deep speed and what he does really well to kind of psychologically mess people up. If you want to run straight and act like you're going to run right past them, they're going to have to bite. They're going to have to respect what you do well, and that is getting deep. So you can get them to flip their hips. You can get them to maybe change their mindset to, okay, let's play the deep ball now. And then you just stop. And then you come back, and he had the fluid breaks and just looked really good overall. So Jamari Thrash, one I am excited to look into more tape of his and just from the college season, and really break down what he did at the Senior Bowl as well. Because Jamari Thrash is obviously, I no words for it. He came out and, yeah, I wasn't really high on him heading in, and I'm only more intrigued now. Christian Haynes, the offensive lineman or guard, was a good standout on the day. Now, only 6'2", 318. He won 3 straight reps in the one-on-one drills, which is really good to see for him after not holding. I mean, he was pretty inconsistent day 1, but had some good reps in day 1 and had some like pretty bad ones. And then, to see him kind of hold up against power, which is what he kind of struggled against day 1. He stood his ground, and he really didn't have that poor rep or the bad rep that I was talking about like he did on day 1, where he just got straight up beat. He was at least in it every single rep that we saw, or that I saw from him. So he didn't really have that poor rep or the poor play that kind of outweighs the good from him. You're like, oh, but he's still doing, like, he actually looked solid, consistent, and stood his ground. Austin Booker, who was listed at like 6'6", 245, but I don't think he actually ended up weighing in here at the Senior Bowl, so don't really know what he's looking at, but showed improvement in technique from day one. Daniel Jeremiah was actually talking about it, and how he tends to stay a little upright, and then on day two he really came out, kept his shoulders a little bit further down, and worked to what he was good with, and used some power moves, but he was known as a speed guy. So heading in, you have a thin 6'6", 245 athlete that just ends up winning with, getting the side swipe, speed moves. He came in here with power moves, ripped right through the bodies of some guys, and he just won good reps. And that's what you really like to see against some of the better guys there. Maybe not the better guys there, but out of some guys that looked fine, Booker might have just gone right through him, and that's what you want to see. Now he is a sophomore, so probably a guy that you would want to go back another year, as maybe get that little touch of refinement for the last year, come out and be a day two type of guy next year. But he's taking his chance, he's betting on himself, and after a not so great day one, or not even a standout day one, I wouldn't say he was bad or anything, but just never really stood out. Day one, comes out day two, and got a little bit of the media talk, and I've heard a few things right now, and Austin Booker seems to be on his way up, maybe not to a day two level, but we'll see. Braden Fisk, he was a winner for me on day one, and I was trying to kind of make sure no one from the good day ones got into this video, but it's just too hard. Braden Fisk, 6'3", 295, looks really I would have guessed around 285, 31-inch arms, so maybe a little bit less length than you'd like, but that's where the experience and understanding comes in. His experience and understanding of the position that he plays is kind of not outrageous, but it's levels above the people that we're seeing at the Senior Bowl. He gets to one side, so you're working with half the body of the guard in front of him, or the center in front of him, where you can really get to one side and only work half the guard or half the center, that you're getting to one side, and you already have him off. So this is them at the start of the rep, right? You get up and it's 1-1, but he makes sure to get to a side, and he works a lot better because you're getting half you're eliminating half of their things, maybe not incredibly all of them, all half. And he might struggle against more athletic guards and better guards, especially in the league. But Braden Fisk is just smart moves with power and speed, fun player, and a true riser through this process. Someone was really talking about him, and only recently he has been quite the name. And Senior Bowl, he's really solidifying why. He is impressed through the first 2 days, and day three should be very fun for Braden Fisk. Darius Robinson, the 6'5", healthiest 286 pounds I've ever seen, and I think I have an error here. I don't think he has 24-inch arms, so I'm just going to fix that real quick on the note here. 34-inch arms, almost 35. He wins so often, every time you see him, this guy's winning. He's got that inside-out versatility where he could play, maybe not nose tackle, but 3-4 all the way out to out wide. So Darius Robinson, inside out versatility. I already mentioned the best 286 pounder I've ever seen. If that's how people would just hold 286 pounds, then I wouldn't question it, but no one holds 286 pounds. I think this is the best, healthiest, 270 plus I've ever seen. So I don't know what to really say other than he beats everyone who lines up against him, power or speed, inside or outside. He's got some crazy stature to him, because man, oh me, 6'5", 286. I would have guessed 6'5", maybe 6'4", 270 something, maybe in the light 270s. Yes, wow. Yeah, Darius Robinson is one to just sit speechless about, because Robinson really showed out. Devondre Sweat, who refused to weigh in, which is always kind of a whoa type of guy. He might be closer to 400 than you'd like, maybe closer to 400 than 350. So Devondre Sweat, who knows, but fixed a lot from day one. He got back to what he was good with, and used way more power, had great hand usage on multiple reps after trying to do technical stuff back in day one, where he was really just batting arms and trying to hand fight, instead of using 370 maybe pounds and just flying into the guy in front of him, trying to drive him backwards, which is what he does well. He uses more power than the guy in front of him even has, and that seems to work. So Devondre Sweat, maybe not a 3-down player in the league, but will be on the field for the first 2 downs, and maybe some 3rd downs, you never know. But if he continued to prove himself as a pass rusher, which he hasn't just in one day. And it was kind of a question heading in as well. T'Vondre Sweat, keep it up, big dog, and hopefully he fixes some things and really continues to only get better. Peyton Wilson, a good defensive standout here, standing at 6'4", which is pretty tall, 234 pounds. And another, oh wait, no, that's his wingspan. Okay, so I took his wingspan instead of his arm, and his wingspan is 76 1/8. So guess pretty rangy. Yeah, that would be pretty rangy, and he looks pretty long too. But yeah, his coverage really stood out. He was one-on-one with one of the running backs there. I can't even remember. And speed and athleticism was in full effect. He had, I think in the team drills, he was pretty good as well in coverage, tracking the right things and making a few plays. So Peyton Wilson, probably one of the better linebackers in this class, or probably if not the best, but the injury concerns really hold him back. But yeah, another thing that I really like to see is his coverage really stood out sideline to sideline. I'm sure that he looks like one of those guys with the speed and athleticism, but still some questions about like his run stop ability straight up the middle, fill a gap, 3rd and 2. Is he the playmaker in that situation? So we'll have to see. But Peyton Wilson, what you see in what like a limited practice like the Senior Bowl is, where you have guys that are not trying 100% because you're trying to keep everyone healthy. So Peyton Wilson really won't get to show that until he gets in the league, I guess. Cam Hart out of Notre Dame, a good standout and good size, 6'2", 204. He's got some okay, like decently long arms. I wouldn't call it like, well, I guess that is pretty good. So yeah, 6'2", 204, great size, and he showed impressive instincts, tight coverage every rep I've seen from him. There hasn't been one where he's just straight up beat. That, like I said, at least I've seen. So sorry if you guys see otherwise, but there hasn't been one that I've watched of Cam Hart where he is just absolutely demolished or outplayed. And like I said, the impressive instincts really looked good, and along with the execution on the pass breakups. So he did a really good job mirroring the guy in front of him and kind of jumping the routes, seeing when he's breaking, seeing when he could pounce. And like I said, that's kind of where the execution came out. Is if he's there, he's gonna jump in front of it. And yeah, Cam Hart, to me, that's really impressive, and to make plays on both day 1 and day 2 that are very similar, where he's just guessing almost the route, and it looks like he might know the route, and maybe that's the case, but the benefit of the doubt here for Cam Hart, that he just ends up jumping it with great execution, no interception, but the pass breakup was there, tight coverage to begin with, and the instincts to get in front of it. So Cam Hart with great size, the intangibles you like, showing good instincts, and I'll keep bringing up that execution because you don't see that from everyone. Last good player or good standout from Senior Bowl Day 2, we're going to DJ James, the 5'11", 170, which is a lot higher than I thought he'd weigh, and I thought he'd be around 160, which would have been rough with 30-inch arms, or 31-inch arms, excuse me. But yeah, he weighs more than I thought, and that was a big concern of mine. I thought he was going to weigh around 160 after seeing he was listed at 164 with Auburn. Typically, they give him the generous size, but DJ James might have bulked up, drank all the water he could, and ate some McDonald's before he went and weighed in. Either way, though, comes in at 170. Good to see that he's playing with a little bit more size. Obviously not ideal still, but bounced back after a not so good day 1 where he wasn't so, where I'd say he's a little bit more aggressive and less technical. And then day 2, he was sticky and aggressive still. So he's really not getting away from his identity. He's not getting in his head. He's just getting used to the environment, it feels like. And yeah, DJ James, standout of day 2, probably the best DB in the one-on-ones, other than Quinyon Mitchell, obviously, but we can't really put him in here because he stands out every time he's on the field. So DJ James, day 2 was huge for him, and looked really good doing so, and bounced back from a rough day 1, and you always love to see that too. Now the bad standouts, we're going to start with Bo Nix at 6'1", 218. He's got some decently sized hands as well. Just an 1/8 off of 10-inch hands for him. Bo Nix definitely struggled with his accuracy. It was kind of all over the place, throwing at guys' feet and just not really delivering. I think there was even one over the head. For a guy that I really like, I love Bo Nix. My quarterback, maybe 3 or 4, and at this point it's leaning towards 4, but I do like him more than Jaden Daniels as a passer. But Jaden Daniels as a full-on quarterback, I would probably take as a prospect over Nix, or I'd rank over Nix after such a I don't know, it's hard to explain, but this is just not a great sign or look for him. But yeah, his rhythm, he just wasn't ever really in rhythm. Fumbled the snap, the first fumbled snap of the Senior Bowl, technically, or not technically, typically, you see that a lot in the Senior Bowl is what I'm hearing from guys. Like, well, we haven't seen any footballs on the ground from the center or from the quarterback, and then obviously Bo Nix goes out and does it. So fumbled a good snap. It was right there in his hands and just dropped it. All of the quarterbacks were kind of adjusting to the in-ear communication with the play calling. So there's obviously that learning curve there as well, and a lot to think about, lots going through your mind. Bo Nix just really needs to put together a good day 3. Really needs it, and I'd be back to being on the Bo Nix train. But right now, I'm at an all-time low on him, and that is quarterback 4. So I'm really not worried about it. He's still very high, and I see him better and higher than most of people seem to. I really love Bo Nix and his tape. Bad standout number 2, Tez Walker, 6'1". I thought it maybe 6'2". He looked actually 6'3"-ish on tape. I thought maybe 6'2" would probably be like the lowest he came in. He comes in 6'1". I thought he'd be around 200. He was 197, so not too bad. 9-inch hands are a little small, and that can contribute to the 5 drops we saw today from him. Gee Lord, the separations there, the route running and athleticism's there. The hands aren't. They don't exist. They are typically pretty good, right? That's what you'd think on the college tape there. And now I think they are gone. I don't know if he's playing. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Tez Walker doesn't look like he has any hands. Day 1, he had 1 or 2 easy ones and dropped those as well. So Tez Walker's hands really seem to be a liability heading into the Senior Bowl after I literally had 0. I said he had a good catch radius and catches everything from like his knees to like his full extended arm. So who knows? Tez Walker, man, is really becoming concerning. Now, it could just be nerves. It can be quarterback. It could be a bunch of things, right? You think about Drake May. He throws it pretty hard sometimes, throws it deep sometimes, good tracking. You think Tez Walker should really I thought he'd stand out a lot in this class here in the Senior Bowl with the weaker corner class than the receiver classes. They seem to be getting a little bit worked there. But yeah, Tez Walker, no hands. Bad standout is AJ Barner. I think he had 2 or 3 drops, maybe like 1, 2.5, maybe 1. Maybe 2, whatever. AJ Barner, tall, stout guys, 250 at 6'5", and he actually had the same size hands as Tez Walker, and maybe that also contributes to the drops. Maybe 9-inch hands are not the hand size to have. Maybe that's a trend. Maybe I just mastered scouting. Don't draft anyone with 9-inch hands. Maybe they all suck. Either way, yeah, he just looked stiff. Didn't really get to show his yards after catch ability, which is what I really liked. Coming out of Michigan, I watched some JJ McCarthy tape, saw AJ Barner. I was like, okay, this guy's pretty good. And then like after the catch, obviously, I was like, wow, I really like this guy. And didn't really translate here to the Senior Bowl as he drops everything. That I mean, you really can't show your yards after catch in this anyways. Whatever. Like I mentioned, the physicality of the defense really isn't there. Like no one's actually trying to tackle you. Whatever. And like I mentioned, just look kind of stiff towards the hips and legs. He wasn't really the athlete I thought he'd really look like, or as loose of a mover as I thought he would be. So AJ Barner not really standing out. In fact, he is standing out, but in the wrong way. Last one we'll talk about, and to me was like the worst. Like he stood out as the worst out of everyone today, which unfortunately for Chow Smith Wade is a little bit smaller too, so it kind of adds to this case. But 5'10", 187, smaller than 30-inch arms. And yeah, his poor measurements was obviously part of it, but holding galore. This guy had 3 reps back to back to back where he held the crap out of the guy. Came back, made a good play, goes back the next rep and holds again. So it was crazy, and it's making himself like a tough evaluation. With all the holding, you really can't tell. So Chow Smith Wade really just hindering himself at the end of the day. Poor measurements, not his fault. Holding galore, hell yes, it's his fault, and you can't do that. Like, you get handsy at the Senior Bowl, obviously. It's going to happen. You're already in a poor situation. You have no help by any defenders, no teammates, nothing over top to be your safety blanket, right? So you're looking at Chow Smith Wade playing one-on-one as an undersized corner. At least keep a dog in the fight. like maybe, hold at the top of a route, or while you're tracking up with him while he makes his break or whatever, hand on shoulder, hip, whatever you need to do. You don't blatantly just tug the guy down while you're tagging along, like you're trying to, what is a water sport? Water ski? Where you're trying to like hook up something to the back of him and like kind of toe off the back. Like, it's just not really working out for you, Chow. So advice to him going forward. I say this as an inexperienced football player that has never touched a field against players like Tez Walker, Xavier Legette, right? But don't hold. it's feel bad for him kind of piling on here, but it needs to bounce back, have a good day too. He wasn't noticeably terrible in day one. I think he had like a poor rep or two, but I really didn't really care. Like, I really didn't, and he'll probably be a slot guy, and I'd probably see him 5th or 6th roundabout now. So yeah, Chow Smith Way, gotta figure it out for day 3. Really come out, show up to get I guess redemption on this, because not a good day for him at all. And that'll be all for me. Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed, give me a like, go down, subscribe, go to the past content on the channel. That'll be all for me. Thank you guys for watching again. Deuces.